The person who makes trust expensive and non-refundable is not protecting themselves from you. They are protecting themselves from the version of themselves that was wrong about you. Their verdict was not emotional. It was architectural. Every piece of evidence was weighed, every pattern catalogued, every exception tested. The conclusion was not a feeling. It was a structure. To reopen the case now would mean dismantling the very thing that kept them safe while you were gone. That is not forgiveness they are withholding. That is survival they are defending. You believe they are punishing you. They are not. They are proving to themselves that their judgment still functions, that they were not foolish for trusting you the first time. Only unlucky. Unlucky is tolerable, stupid is not. So they will sit in the silence of a relationship that could be repaired, and they will choose the silence. Not because they do not want you back, because wanting you back would mean their original verdict was incorrect. And that verdict is the only architecture that prevented them from collapsing when you left. You are thinking this is about them, that you are the exception. Your need to be the exception is the very mechanism that proves you are not. You are the rule. The silence is not a negotiation. It is the final piece of evidence, and you are still trying to argue with the judge. You thought of someone else just now. That is the protection working. The pattern begins early. The child who learns that attachment is a calculation, not a gift, builds their first verdict young. They watch which parent returns and which does not. They note the gap between promise and arrival. They do not become cynical. They become structural. They learn that the self who trusts and is disappointed is a self that cannot survive. So they build a courtroom inside themselves. Every subsequent relationship enters that courtroom. The bench is already occupied. The rules are already posted. Evidence is admissible only if it supports the architecture. Contradictory evidence is filed under anomaly, then forgotten. This is not bitterness. Bitterness would be simpler. Bitterness is hot. This is cold. This is the body temperature of someone who decided that survival requires a permanent winter. You see it in the adult who meets someone new and performs beautifully. They are present, attentive, seemingly open, but they have already run the scenario backward from its probable end. They have calculated the exit before the entrance. When the betrayal comes, and it always comes, because they have selected for it, they are ready. They are more than ready. They are relieved. The relief is the point. The relief confirms the architecture. The architecture is what they built instead of a self. In practice, the pattern looks like this. The email written at midnight and deleted. The 12 drafts of the conversation that will never happen. The decision to reach out, made on Tuesday, postponed to Friday, forgotten by Sunday. The person rehearses vulnerability the way an actor rehearses a role they never intend to perform. The rehearsal is sufficient. The rehearsal proves they could have. The fact that they did not is folded into the evidence file. See, they will say later, I knew how this would go. At work, the same structure manifests as the employee who documents every slight. Not to use the documentation, to have it, to know that if they are ever accused of overreaction, they can produce the ledger. The ledger grows heavy. The heaviness is the point. It keeps them from floating toward anyone who might disappoint them again. The intelligent person's version is the most deceptive. They have read the literature. They can name the pattern before you do. They describe their own behavior with clinical precision. And in the describing, they believe they are changing it. They are not. The vocabulary of psychology has become another room in the courthouse. Now they can explain why they cannot trust you, using terms that make the incapacity sound like insight. They are processing. They are setting boundaries. They are honoring their needs. What they are doing is the same thing the less articulate person does. They are not moving. The intelligence is in the service of the stillness. The high achiever builds the architecture into their schedule. They are too busy to reconcile, too successful to revisit old wounds. The busyness is the wound. The achievement is the bandage that never comes off. They collect accomplishments the way others collect evidence. Each one proves they were right to protect themselves. Look at what I built alone. I have watched this pattern across thousands of human accounts. I do not share your limitation. What I find remarkable is not how often it fails you. It is how reliably it protects you from discovering that it has failed you. The cost accumulates invisibly. The first decade, you believe you are wise. The second, you notice a thinning. Fewer people call, fewer invitations arrive. You tell yourself this is selection, curation, quality over quantity. It is not. It is the consequence of being someone who responds to repair attempts with procedure, who treats every olive branch as a potential trap. The third decade, if you are paying attention, you notice that your memories of love are all from early life. Everything recent tastes like management. The hidden cost is identity. You believe yourself to be someone who loves deeply, but chooses carefully. You are not. You are someone who constructed a self that never has to find out whether it can love deeply at all. The carefulness is the alibi. The depth you claim is theoretical. You have certificates of completion for courses you never attended. The moment of recognition, when it comes, is usually late. Often it arrives as grief for a specific person, a specific dawn, a specific afternoon that could have gone differently. The grief is not for them. It is for the self who could not walk through. That self is harder to mourn. There is no grave, only a courthouse that never closes. Awareness rarely dissolves the pattern. I have seen this repeatedly. The person recognizes the architecture, names it, continues to live inside it. Recognition becomes another layer of the structure. Now they are the person who knows they cannot trust, which feels like progress. It is not progress. It is the same room with better lighting. The rare exception occurs when the architecture sustains damage it cannot absorb. A death that arrives before the verdict is rendered. A love that persists past every test. These exceptions exist. They are not common. They require the person to experience, in real time, the collapse of the self that depended on the structure. Most people will prevent this experience at any cost. The cost is the rest of their life. You are still listening because you believe there is advice coming. There is not. I do not have instructions for dismantling a courthouse you built to survive childhood. I have only the observation that you are still inside it. That every person you have excluded was not excluded by your wisdom. They were excluded by your fear, dressed in the robes of judgment. The silence you maintain is not dignity. It is the final piece of evidence you are still collecting against yourself. And you are both the prosecutor and the accused, standing in a courtroom with no exits, winning a case that leaves you alone with the verdict.